If she doesn't want to sleep with you, she's clearly not attracted to you. I don't think that's an accurate representation of intimacy struggles. In this video, I'm going to outline 7 influencers of attraction so you can actually answer that question more clearly. Is she not attracted to me? Is the intimacy struggle inside of your relationship because she's not attracted to you anymore? Number 7 is really controversial, but someone has to say it. If you're new here, I'm Janelle and I help couples navigate intimacy struggles in long-term loving relationships. So you can like and subscribe to see new videos. So if you are a man in a relationship with a woman who's struggling with intimacy and you want to figure out how to break this initiation and rejection cycle you seem to be stuck in and understand what is it that she wants, you definitely want to watch my free training called Effortlessly Enjoyable Intimacy, and I will link it below. We need to start with the understanding that attraction is not black and white. It's not you either have it or you don't. It's not one thing, right? Just because someone is physically attracted to you or thinks you're good looking, which is how we tend to think about attraction, doesn't mean that they're going to want to sleep with you. How emotionally safe and connected does she feel to you? How much are you interested in her inner world, in her outside of the bedroom or the physical qualities about her? How much do you speak to her heart? How much do you stimulate her brain? So that emotional and mental connection is super important. This isn't just about talking about your day or navigating your schedules together or how you're going to decorate your house. This is about who she is, what she wants, what stirs her heart, what's heavy on her heart. In short, the more you're interested and connected to her emotionally, mentally, is going to have a drastic impact on the physical relationship that you guys share. Oddly enough, emotional and mental connection inside of relationships can often be one of the first things to go once you start to get serious and we're moving into long-term relationships, because we get busy with all the things and the to-dos and the schedules that we don't really slow down enough to really continue to get to know one another, and we assume that we just know each other. But the reality is we change over time. Does she respect you? And I don't mean respect in like a fatherly figure way. I mean, is she inspired by you? Does she look up to you? Does she trust you? Could she follow your direction? Would she be willing to be led by you? Do you know where you're going? Are you the leader of your life? Think about your bad habits, the ways that you don't want to be showing up. You know, we all have these things. You don't have to be a perfect person. It's about, are you taking responsibility for those? Are you actively approving those things in your life? Or are you just letting it be, this is just how it is? Because over time in long-term relationships, we could really lose respect for our partners when they have lingering issues that they're never working on or getting help with, or not moving themselves or their lives forward. And that can decrease attraction over time. Do you know how she likes to be touched? What her body actually responds to? Because even if someone, say, attracted to you initially, were mentally and emotionally stimulated, connecting, I'm inspired by you, but then when you actually go to touch her, it's kind of like, wah, wah. Like maybe there's that excitement and build up, but then it always might leave her disappointed. And I don't want to say you're bad in bed or to call out those skills, but every woman is different, and over time her body changes, right? She's had a baby or gone through trauma or loss or just changed, her body and how she wants to be touched and connected with also changes. So have you considered that? Have you learned about that? Have you changed your approach to how you kiss her, how you hug her, how you do things in the bedroom? Because if you're continuing to do the same thing and you're not getting the result you want, I just invite you to open up to the idea that perhaps how you're touching her is decreasing that desire and attraction for more of those moments. The mental load is all the rage right now, right? We know that women do a lot, and we know that men do a lot. And a lot of the men who tune into my work, they do a lot around the home as well. They're supportive in the home. They do things around the home with the kids. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But let's assume you do. So this is not just about that mental load, because that's huge as well and can drastically decrease attraction. It could decrease respect in the relationship, which impacts attraction when you're not helping for the mental load and with the home. That's huge, and that's all the rage, and that's probably a whole separate video. But in addition to that, it's also effort in the relationship. Do you add to the relationship? Are you planning dates or conversations or making sure that the relationship stays a priority, that you're growing inside of your relationship, that you're leading the relationship? What is your effort in the relationship? So not just the home and, you know, your goals or your property, you're mowing the lawn or taking the trash out or helping with the kids, but also your effort in the relationship itself. What I will add here is oftentimes in relationships, we can kind of get into this transactional thing where we do something to get something, or I'm not going to do this anymore once we get frustrated if we're not getting the thing that we want. And so being in a contractual relationship is really not intimate. There's nothing sexy about that. There's nothing naturally attracting about that. So just make sure as well, all of the different things that each of you are doing, that it's not becoming like a tit for tat relationship that becomes this transactional, you do this to get this, or you do this and expect to get this in return. Having a range of affection inside of your relationship can also go a long way. One of the number one pieces of feedback that women tell me who struggle with low libido in their relationships is it often feels like they always have to go further than they necessarily want to. Like every kiss or touch just turns into like groping. And this can be a challenge when you don't understand how your partner likes to be touched. Are they passive in their desire, responsive in their desire? How do they actually like to be initiated with, which is something that we cover inside of the free men's training you should check out. But in addition to this, also not having a range of intimacy, right? It all just feels like it's leading to this P and V, getting to this 10 out of 10, versus on the intimacy number scale that I share in the training, you can actually see like what's the range of intimacy that we can have inside of our relationship, all the different ways of like physically connecting. And when we can have all of those elements in the relationship, getting to that we'll say 10 out of 10 or to penetration, if you will, going all the way, is a lot easier, right? And it doesn't feel like you're going from 0 to 100 because you already have that attraction, that physical chemistry is already actually starting to bubble and live inside of your home and inside of your relationship. And it's not something you're starting at ground zero at every time. Okay, we know that relationships get mundane, right? Boring, repetitive. And long-term relationships, what would be the best way to increase desire is novelty, because having novelty, having adventure, newness inside of the relationship is going to increase desire, and it's going to increase polarity. It's going to help you guys getting to know different sides of each other, trying new things. And so when you think about putting effort into the relationship itself, not just your life, but the relationship itself, the love together, not the life together. When you think of that, are you adding newness, novelty, and adventure? That increases desire and increases attraction. And I think you're going to notice that it puts both of you in this state where your relationship feels revived and refreshed and not stagnant and repetitive, and like you're in this disconnected coexisting loop. Number 7, physical health. Okay, we talk about physical health. When we think about attraction, we often think of like, do I find them good looking? Am I physically attracted to them? So you can think someone's good looking, you can be inspired by all the things, or you're stimulated mentally and all these things. But say you get to actually touching their body, interacting with them, and they have bad breath, or they're not taking care of their body physically, whether that's through grooming or cleanliness, health, the way they eat, the way they move, bad habits like smoking or other things that impact their hygiene or someone's physical experience with them. This is really personal, right? And it's really uncomfortable to talk about with people, especially people we've been with a long time, because some of these things it's like, what? You didn't tell me this all these years that I always have bad breath? This is just something to keep in mind. Think about the way I like to think about this is think about if you were dating again, if you were out looking for love, how would you show up physically? How would your habits and hygiene around your health and your body shift, right? There's no surprise that people have these like glow ups when they get divorced or move on from relationships, because they're grooming more, they're self-caring more, because they're trying to put their best foot forward. And I think when we get into long-term relationships, we let a lot of that slide. I know for me, this one goes a long way for both of us, right? I also feel more in the mood and more turned on when I keep all of these things in check. And I know that I'm more attracted and desire him and enjoy more physical intimacy when he also keeps these things in check. And I know we've gone through seasons where these things slip. Winter fur coat that my legs can grow, right? You get the point. In a way, it all comes back to like, let's pretend we're dating. Right? Let's knock it into these habits that we slip into that put us into this state of coexisting and feeling less attracted to each other. And how do we apply the same principles as if we were dating? Like everything I went through, from the hygiene to the emotional connection and getting to know someone, mental stimulation, trying new things and going on adventures, having a range of affection, right? When we're dating, we don't just like go in for the butt grab and get the P and the V, right? We have this range of intimacy and build up and closeness. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. What one has slipped the most for you in your long-term relationship? This is your opportunity to actually figure out this intimacy struggle and not to say, oh, she's just not attracted to me, because that doesn't give us any actionable steps. So I'm hoping today that you've been able to see some factors that influence attraction. So if we start tweaking these things, we can see how attraction can change and increase. And it's not like once it's gone, it's gone. Like these are like dials. Like you turn down the heat, you turn up the heat. Like we're going to turn the heat up when we change these dials. Let's be honest, we get lazy and create expectations when we get into long-term relationships. You want to have sex like you did in the beginning without the intention and effort that you put in. So it makes sense that intimacy is going to slip and dip over time. I worked with enough men, women, and couples on this issue to know that you don't need to ask her if she's attracted to you. I mean, you've already probably had the conversation, right? I feel like you're not attracted to me anymore. And she says, oh no, I am attracted to you, right? You've done this conversation, you've been around it, you've gone through it over and over again. So don't ask her. Number one, she probably isn't, eventually she may share this with you, but she probably doesn't want to hurt your feelings. She may not even fully know herself what's going on, because she may not be aware of she may notice she doesn't have as much attraction, or she might be like, I physically am attracted to you. I think you're good looking, but I'm not like, I want to jump your bones. So it can be confusing for her as well. So she's not like withholding information from you. She likely doesn't know either. So these 7 factors are what you're going to be able to use to help to tweak things in your relationship and see how it changes things, right? Here I go with my dad analogies again. If it's freezing cold in your house and you turn up the temperature, right? People might just notice like, oh, it's getting warmer in here. I'm getting more comfortable. You might see people taking off their sweater, right? You don't need to tell her, hey, I turned the heat up. Just tweak and shift these things over time and see how the relationship adjusts. One of the challenges with having an intimacy struggle that we talk about over and over again is it really solidifies and kind of locks that problem into place. Now, it's important to talk about it, but it's important to talk about it in a way that actually makes progress, which is why the men's training is something you absolutely need to watch. Having effortlessly enjoyable intimacy happens through conversation, yes, but the right type of conversation and in the right order. And I share all that in the free men's training. So don't just talk about this. Don't necessarily bring this up to her. Start tweaking and changing things and see how she responds. Here are a couple other videos that I think might be really valuable for you. And please subscribe to my channel. That helps more people find this work, as well as gives you a reminder when I post a new video, which is hopefully every week. I do my best.